search continues for Krista and Bart Halderson. They were reported missing yesterday.
Yeah, John, the Halderson's son says that he helped his parents pack up the night before their trip to their cabin in Langlade County. He hasn't seen them since.
He gives this bizarre story of his parents leaving in an unknown car, going to a cabin with an unknown couple, with an unknown amount of money, for really an unknown reason.
I just believe my parents were missing, and I just want them to be found.
Did they crash their car? Did this other couple kidnap them? Where the hell are they?
In the moment, he told me, you know, they're probably just at a casino.
What did you think of that comment?
There's no way.
I called Chandler back, so I have him on the phone, and I'm like, nobody's been here.
I can't tell you what we know, but we know you're not telling us the truth. We know your parents are no longer with us, okay, and we know the reason why.
They start looking into the people who saw them last, who reported them missing. And in this case, all three of those things, the person who purportedly saw them last, was with them last, and reported them missing, were the same person. There's Chandler Halderson. What I expect to prove beyond any reasonable doubt is that on July 1st, 2021, somewhere between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m., Chandler Halderson murdered his parents. On July 7th, 2021, nearly a week after killing his parents, Chandler Halderson walks into the Dane County Sheriff's Office and says, "I'd like to file a missing persons report. My parents, they just haven't come back from the cabin. We have a cabin up north. It's in White Lake, up in Langlade County. They were gonna come back Monday or Tuesday, and I don't know where they are." Chandler Halderson killed his parents on July 1st, 2021. He cut up their bodies with axes, saws, and knives. Their remains were scattered across Dane County, in public land, on farms, rivers, and perhaps every ditch is a possibility in this county.
Chandler Halderson did not murder his parents. Chandler Halderson is 23 years old, young man. He likes to play video games, play with his dogs, hang out with his girlfriend, and he lived peacefully in his parents' home. What happened to the Haldersons? What happened in that Haldersons' home? Remember those questions at the end of this trial. When you have to decide whether the state has proven to you that Chandler Halderson killed his parents, you just aren't gonna know what happened. You're gonna know some about the before, you're gonna know some about the after, but you're not gonna know what happened in the Haldersons' home, whether it was intentional or not, which is an element of homicide. You're just not going to know.
At what point did you become concerned about your parents?
So I was initially concerned because I hadn't heard of them going up. It wasn't to the level of filing a missing persons case until I had heard further from Chandler that he was is concerned enough in order to do that. So my concern grew as time went on. I would say around once that Monday, Tuesday date where they were supposed to return hit, I was definitely pretty concerned.
Did Chandler make any comments to you about things his parents may have packed before going to the cabin?
He did. He stated that they had grabbed several bottles of liquor. He said the norm that they might take a bottle or two, which would include a bottle of wine. He then went on to tell me that his father had grabbed a large sum of cash, about $4,000, and this was also unusual, saying that they would only usually take a couple hundred, and that maybe they were going to a casino at this point.
You were good friends with Bart. Tell me about his drinking habits.
When I was with him, if we had a drink or two throughout the whole weekend, that would probably be it. Sometimes we would go the whole weekend without having a drink, and it was never in front of Mitchell or Chandler.
Did you ever know him to gamble?
No. I could have given Bart a $100 bill, and I think he would have gave it back and said, no, we're not going. I don't ever think that he stepped foot in a casino as far as I'm aware.
Did Krista Halderson request to be off on July 2nd of 2021?
No, she did not.
Did she show up to work that day?
No, she did not.
Was that unusual for Mrs. Halderson?
Extremely unusual. Krista was very conscientious and would text me usually a couple hours ahead of any start time to let me know she would be late or not in that day.
Did your parents take their work or their jobs seriously, not seriously, or something else?
Very seriously.
To your knowledge, have they ever no-called and no-showed for work in the past?
That would be very strange for them to do.
Tell me what you found when you got to the cabin.
Absolutely nothing. There was a log over the driveway, which looks like that's the way they had it. So I stepped over that. There was probably, I would say, 12 to 14 inches of grass, so the grass hadn't been cut, and you could see that nobody was there. And I said, this is really giving me a sick stomach. He said, this does not seem right. Something's not right here.
He's like, did you find anything? And I said, like, what? And I was shocked that he said, any bullet shells or any blood or anything. And I went, what? And he's like, did you find anything? And I'm like, no one's been here.
I was trying to be reassuring that, don't worry. Because in my brain at that point, I'm thinking they're in a car wreck on the side of the road. Something like that happened. And so I said that, don't worry, they can track their phones. They can look at where the location of the phone is, and hopefully that will find them. And his comment was, no, they can't do that.
Okay, and how did he say that?
Just very flat, they can't do that.
The search continues for this couple, Krista and Bart Halderson. They live near DeForest. They were reported missing yesterday.
I was told they'd be home Monday or Tuesday, and Tuesday afternoon I got a little worried. Apparently they did make it. I got a text on Sunday. That's when I got worried, and I went to make a report. My name is Chandler Halderson. I live just down the road.
Oh, yeah.
You're the one who calls the police.
Yeah.
I was told you had the fancy security system. I was wondering if you were able to capture the road or my house.
The police actually came and downloaded everything they have.
She said White Lake today, so she sent it that day. I couldn't figure out where she was because it was a text. There was no iMessage, so I kind of just left it at that. They're safe, they're alive.
in the course of your assistance with Dane County, were you asked a couple questions about a parade that occurred over 4th of July weekend?
Yes, I was. This is a copy of an ad that was placed in the Antigo Daily Journal. This is advertising the annual White Lake 4th of July celebration.
On that flyer, does it tell you a time and location of a parade that occurred over 4th of July weekend?
Yes, the parade was Saturday, July 3rd, 2021 at 2 p.m.
Not on July 4th.
Correct.
Was that the message listed there? Made it safely, can't get anything through though, and yes, it's packed. Going to White Lake today for the parade, and be home Monday night, Tuesday early. Love you lots.
That is correct.
That message was sent from Windsor, Wisconsin.
It was.
Not White Lake, Wisconsin.
That is correct.
I think it's time we start talking about what happened to your parents. Like a truthful version. This is the only chance you're gonna have to tell us the truth. Okay. What we listen. I can't tell you what we know, but we know you're not telling us the truth. We know your parents are no longer with us. Okay, and we know the reason why.
You see the pile of sticks there, and there's something underneath it. Couldn't quite tell what it was right away, so I stepped over the log and got a little bit of a closer look.
And what did you find?
I didn't know what it was at first. It took me a while to process what I was seeing, you know. Then it became obvious that I was looking at a human torso.
Prior to eventually being told what happened by police and defense investigators or myself, did you know that Bart and Krista Halderson had died?
No.
Kat, did you have absolutely anything to do with cleaning anything up or their disappearance?
No.
What happened? Okay, you know what happened. We're not gonna tell you what happened. You know what happened. You were there when it happened.
When I approached it, I saw toes and a foot and part of a leg and so on, so I knew I had found human remains at that point. Picture 125 is an aerial photo. On the center of it, you can see where the body parts are located that myself and Kevin Gruber, who were part of the search party, what we located.
What was the manner of death for Bart Halderson?
As I'm reading from page 2 of my report, I assess that the manner of death was homicide.
Do you know in this part of your autopsy if that's an entrance wound or an exit wound?
Yes, this is an exit wound.
An exit wound?
Yes.
All right. So, and we'll get more into that. Does that mean, though, that, for lack of a better term, Mr. Halderson was shot in the back?
That is correct.
They were able to identify one set of human remains as Krista Halderson via DNA. The other set of remains, the tissue was quite mummified, so we were not able to really obtain DNA out of that second set of remains.
And if we look closer to the black, burnt, charred wood, there's a white object on that piece of wood. That white object is later determined to be human bone.
That smell, it smells like barbecued pork oftentimes, or the grease that you would get from barbecuing a pork shoulder. And this is the smell that I associated with what I was gathering from inside that fireplace when I was down in front of it and working near it.
These gave a very strong reaction to the presence of luminol. I believe that we also had a
couple positive reactions to the presumptive test of phenolphthalein as well. But there were some apparent footwear impressions in blood in this area.
So what we see here, we can still see the foil sheet, we can still see the paper towel sheet. We can see now Bart Halderson's Wisconsin-issued photo driver's license, and we can see the Apple iPhone that is located underneath the driver's license. And we can see Krista's Wisconsin driver's license and an additional phone.
I took his photo ID that the state issued him, and I took it right next to the serial number, annotating that this was me giving this weapon to this individual. So that way, if anything like this would occur, that it wouldn't necessarily come back to me.
Did you look at his Snapchat map to look at where he was?
Yes.
And did you become worried or concerned in some way?
Yes.
Showing it's been marked as exhibit number 532. What is that?
Screenshot of Chandler by the Wisconsin River.
Why did you take this screenshot of Chandler's location?
I didn't know why he was there, and so I was curious.
Did you know where this location was?
Yes.
And how did you know where this location was?
I've been there before with Chandler.
Did they ask you to research whether or not Chandler Halderson was ever employed by American Family?
Yes, they did.
And what did you find out?
I found no record of that person working for American Family.
After the fall of 2020, he was not a student there any longer, from what you were able to glean from all these documents?
Correct. I believe the end of that semester was January 18th or so of 21. Instant message. It's July 1st, 2021 at 2:10 p.m. This is an instant message from Bart Halderson to Chandler Halderson. Bart wrote to Chandler, "I'm ready whenever you are."
Have you made a decision as to whether or not you will testify?
I have.
What is that decision?
I will not.
We know that at 2:10 p.m., Bart texts Chandler, "I'm ready whenever you are." How do we know that he's headed for Roxbury? His Snapchat shows him there. His phone also puts him there. And he's quite close to where the remains were found. The muzzle of the gun was touching Bart's skin on the back. This wasn't a, oops, the gun went off. This is a, got you. You're dead. No one is saying that nothing happened to Bart and Krista. Something awful happened to these two people. And the very least you can say is that Chandler reacted. But you do not know what happened. Maybe you do think he murdered his parents. The question I have for you is, did the state meet their burden when it comes to first-degree intentional homicide? There are a lot of different homicides. First, second, reckless. They chose first-degree intentional homicide. What have you been given that proves intent?
All right, the jury?
Did the jury reach verdicts on all counts in this matter? The verdict form on count 1 reads, "We, the jury, find the defendant Chandler M. Halderson guilty of first-degree intentional homicide as to Bart A. Halderson. We, the jury, find the defendant Chandler M. Halderson guilty of mutilating a corpse as to Bart A. Halderson. We, the jury, find the defendant Chandler M. Halderson guilty of first-degree intentional homicide as to Krista R. Halderson. We, the jury, find the defendant Chandler M. Halderson guilty of mutilating a corpse as to Krista R. Halderson.
All rise for the court.
The gravity of the offense is as serious as it could be, and I must not overlook, of course, the steps taken to hide the crime. The steps taken which, if one ponders it, certainly makes the crime even worse. I sentence him to life in prison, and I find that he is not to be eligible for extended supervision during that course.
Your Honor, I want to take this opportunity to state my intent to appeal my convictions. If there are any lawyers listening and willing to take on my appeal, take a moment to please reach out to me. It's not that I do not have feelings. It's that I was warned to not show them due to the scrutiny of this case.